If you're serious about history and the ways our ancestors solved problems, then hit that subscribe button now, because today we're diving deep into a technique that's almost unbelievable. Forget concrete and modern preservatives. Medieval builders had a wood trick that defied rot for centuries, and understanding it could change the way you think about building, survival structures, or even preserving materials today. By the end of this video, you'll not only know how it worked, but also how you could apply it practically in your own projects. Concrete, as we know it today, wasn't widely accessible in medieval Europe. While Romans had invented concrete by the Middle Ages, the skill and materials had largely faded in common construction. Builders needed something locally available, durable and resilient. Wood was abundant but untreated. It rotted quickly, especially in wet climates. Yet, in places like the bridges of Avignon or timber piers along the English coast, wood lasted for centuries. How? They didn't just stack timber and hope for the best. They used water and soil to their advantage in a way that modern science is just beginning to understand. The key to this medieval trick was deliberate submersion. Builders would sink timber directly into waterlogged soils or marshes, a method that seems counterintuitive because we associate water with rot. The truth is, wood rot requires oxygen. When timber is fully submerged in anaerobic, or oxygen-free, environments, the microorganisms that normally break down wood can't survive. Archaeologists studying medieval dockyards in northern Europe have uncovered piles of oak and pine still structurally sound after 600 years, perfectly preserved in muddy riverbeds. For survivalists today, this principle could inform storage of lumber or even construction of long-lasting piers and garden structures. Medieval craftsmen also knew how to enhance the wood's resilience using natural substances. Certain resins, tars and oils were applied to timber before construction. Pine tar, extracted from slow-burning pine wood, was particularly prized. When applied to stakes, posts or beams, it created a protective barrier against both moisture and insects. Some medieval texts even describe soaking timber in brine, essentially a concentrated saltwater solution, which prevented microbial growth. If you're building a long-term shelter or prepping for off-grid living, experimenting with pine tar or brine treatment is straightforward and uses entirely natural, historically accurate materials. Not all wood behaves the same, and medieval builders understood this instinctively. Oak was preferred for its dense fibres and high tannin content, which naturally resists rot. Ash, elm and larch were also commonly used, especially when combined with the submersion technique. Modern prepper applications can mirror this. Oak or larch stakes for garden beds, fence posts or water-exposed constructions will last far longer if treated or stored like the medieval masters did. Even firewood stacks for long-term storage benefit from choosing species with natural rot resistance. If you want to replicate this medieval trick today, the steps are surprisingly simple, but require careful planning. First, select a dense, rot-resistant wood, such as oak, larch or chestnut. If you're building structures near water, such as a dock or raised garden beds, consider partially submerging the bases of your posts in waterlogged soil, ensuring they are fully saturated and shielded from oxygen. Second, treat the wood with pine tar or a brine soak before placing it. This adds an extra layer of protection. exactly as medieval builders did. Third, monitor and maintain your structures periodically. Even though the technique is effective, combining traditional preservation methods with modern knowledge will extend the life of your timber even further. Understanding this method is not just an academic exercise, it's a survival skill and, honestly, a lesson in resourcefulness. In environments where concrete, synthetic sealants or pressure-treated lumber aren't available, knowing how to preserve wood naturally could be the difference between a short-lived structure and a century-spanning one. Historians gain insight into how medieval societies maximized limited resources, while preppers can directly apply these techniques to off-grid living, sustainable construction, or long-term storage solutions. It's a bridge between past and present that offers practical, actionable knowledge. You can find modern applications of this medieval trick everywhere. Scandinavian wooden bridges and piers still use partially submerged oak piles. Gardeners around the world are experimenting with partially buried timber posts, treated with tar for longevity. Survivalists have recreated medieval waterlogged wood storage techniques to preserve firewood or tool handles for decades. These examples prove that centuries-old wisdom is not just a curiosity, it's a blueprint for resilience. Medieval builders didn't need concrete to create enduring structures. They relied on keen observation, natural resources, and techniques that we can still apply today. By submerging wood in anaerobic conditions, applying natural preservatives, and carefully selecting species, they created structures that have survived the centuries. If you want to preserve your own wood, build off-grid, or simply appreciate how intelligent our ancestors really were, this knowledge is invaluable. If you found this guide enlightening, subscribe to The Prepper Historian for more deep dives into the practical secrets of history, and share this video with fellow enthusiasts. Every time you preserve knowledge like this, you honor the ingenuity of the past while preparing for the future.